Hello guys, I'm back again. So what I've got here for you now is it's a compilation of I think 4 different jobs, a bit like a working week, but it's not really. It's 4 different jobs. These jobs are from, some of them go for as far back as 2020, so they're very old. This is all old footage. Or no, it's not all old. Some of it's from last month, but it's a bit of a compilation, show you a bit of what I do. So it's domestic, commercial, there's some oil in there and there's some plumbing. So one video, hopefully you get a lot of benefit from it. Like, subscribe, let me know if this is the sort of content you want to see, please, in the comments. And click that bell notification, because why not find out? Because I'm so crap with uploading, you may as well actually know when I do. Yeah, hope you enjoy it. Here we have Worcester RI. The customer has turned it on. So I'm going to tell you what happened. I've arrived, there's no heating, no hot water. The customer has turned the boiler on for me, and I've asked the question like, what's happened, what's gone on? So we turn this on. The customer said to me, well, it was, you know, I bled the rads, you know, it was all working and stuff, and then it's just suddenly stopped. So I've come to the boiler, we've turned it on downstairs. The boiler was lit. I don't know if it's going to light now. The first thing I then did was walk to the airing cupboard. Okay, we'll go there now. Came to the airing cupboard. It's an old traditional H system, but that's what I saw. So, to me this fault is quite obvious. But I know for some guys it's not so obvious. So the key bit there is the customer bled the rad. So when they bled the rads, what happened is the tank isn't filling the system for some reason. That could be for a few different reasons. 1, the tank is off. 2, the cold feed's blocked. Or 3, there's an airlock. So a few different reasons there for the tank not to fill the system. What gave it away to me was the customer has vented the rads, and then the boiler fires. So the moment I saw the boiler does fire, I turned it off and walked in here. The pump is only running at 8 watts. The pump's full of air. Okay, so we're going to go up in the loft, and it's either going to be the tank is off or the cold feed is blocked. And if it's blocked, it'll usually be blocked right here on this T, or the tank is off. So let's go up in the loft and have a look. Here's what I've come to get out of the van. My head torch, the gallo gun just in case I need it, and my ladder. So I'm going to put the phone away, but let's get up in that loft. Let's get up here, and oh, I reckon it looks like it's over the back. That looks alright, doesn't it? Oh, you've got to be careful. Right. So there's RF&E. Oh, has it got water on it? Oh, look at that. It needs a gallo gun, eh? Oh, it has got water in it. Just not enough to go over the hole, eh? That is our problem. So that's quite a simple one. No need for the gallo gun on that one. But if there was a need for the gallo gun, let me turn my torch on again. What I would do is connect it in there, hold it in, blow it, and look for bubbles. Obviously, if the cold feed was blocked, the tank would have been full. So remember, the clue to this repair was it had all been working and the lady bled the rads. So this is a very common problem at the beginning of winter, especially if someone says they just bled the rads. So yeah. So obviously now the important bit of this is you need to make sure that is actually going to shut off. Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Should be alright. So let's go see if we can get some more watts on that pump. Oh, Jesus, I'm filthy by the way. I've been doing a commercial install this week and yeah. Anyway, let's get back to the light. Oh, bang my head. Oh. It's already better. Getting there. Just a bit of air. That's now about 30 degrees. So once I've got circulation on water only, I will then put the heating on as well on this hive here. Amazing what a little bit of water does in the heating system, eh? We'll get rid of this air and it'll all be good. That will probably go down a bit, maybe, once we get air in it now. See, air's hit that pump, look at what's going down. But as the air leaves, the watts will go back up. There we go. See, the air left before the pump went up to full speed, but I could hear it. And obviously, the customer just said, oh, they couldn't bleed the rads. That's why. So once I've done all the rads now, I'll make sure that pump's still running at 45 watts, there or thereabouts. Providing it is, we know we're all good and it's all fixed. Yummy. So there you go. Another satisfied customer. Simple stuff really. Ask the right questions, listen for the right little pointers. It's not too difficult. Alright, so here I am on an oil job. It's a Worcester. So the problem with this is it's failing. It starts, stops, starts, stops, starts, stops. Now, as it's a Worcester, you've got the oil line runs up to it. The tank is actually on the floor around the corner, installed incorrectly as they always are. You've got this line that comes up to it, and you've got a non-return valve here, and all the oil people will be saying there's no fire valve. I know that there's no fire valve on this, but you know, that's a bit of paper. So it starts and stops and was a bit sputtery, and then it started working again fine. First thing I noticed when I took this cover off is the oil line. I never saw it, by the way, I never saw it start and stop. When I came, the boiler was running. I turned it off, when I got my tools, came back, and I noticed this. Look at the oil. See that? It's hard to see, but the oil level is there. It's all full of air, the pipe to down there. So oil there, air, oil there. Try and focus on it, it's quite hard. There's oil there. So there's a big air bubble there. What I noticed is this joint here. It's wiggly. Now what I noticed with the boiler off, when I move this ever so slightly, I could hear it sucking air in. I've turned there's a non-return valve here, yeah? So the point is, this burner, you get oil to this burner, it runs, it turns off, the oil cannot drain back to the tank because there's a non-return valve. Well, the leak being here means that when the burner turned off, the oil would drain back to the tank. And then it would have to suck the oil pipe full of oil again, and the boiler would start. As far as the customers where the boiler would start and stop, start and stop. But basically it would just take a while for the oil pump to be able to pull the oil through. So we're going to fix that leak there. And we're going to fill out loads of paperwork. As this oil, there's always loads of paperwork. Fix that leak. I'm not here for a service. I'm just going to fix that leak, get this up and running, and do the combustion, set the combustion up, and then fill out some paperwork regarding the tank and the lack of fire valve and lack of earthing, if it's there but not doing anything, and hopefully get that going. And obviously I'll recommend that they have a new hose. I would put a new hose on it anyway. It really is quite tough. Terrible. Okay, so it wasn't cut square at all, and also there's no insert in there. So pop an insert in it. I've cut it square, obviously, and put an insert in there and get that back together. Okay, so remade that joint. No twist on it anymore. Gonna get a new hose on there and pull the oil through with a suction pipe, a suction pump, and then get it back together and commission it. Okay, so I pulled the oil through on there with that pump there. Put the bit I got out in there. Now I'm going to get all the pressures set, connected in our gauge. Got to get the air out of this pipe still, so I didn't disconnect it from in there. I've just done it from here. Get the air out of this, get this up and running, smoke test it, analyse it, and hopefully we're good. Okay, got the air out of that. Pump pressure's a little low, I reckon. I'll just check that VMIs. But the air's all out of that pipe now. I didn't have a hose, so I couldn't change it. Close that up. Sparking away. Okay, let's check the actual. Okay, so first smoke test is not very good. I'm going to go, that's going to be about 5 or 6. Maybe even a 7. Yeah, it's about 7. That's not very good at all. Do some settings. Okay, so adjusting the oil pressure to where it should be makes the smoke test worse because I'm giving it more oil. So the only thing I could do to counter that would be to increase the air, but I don't know when the nozzle was last changed on this. I don't know the state of the inside of it, so I am going to strip this down and have a look before I do anything else. I'm going to strip it down, clean it out, change the nozzle, put it back together, run it again, and then I've got the oil pressure right. I'll get the air set right, and fingers crossed it'll be all right. Pulled that out. Look at that for a nozzle. No chance. Taking the baffles out, this, well, I don't know if I showed you that, but taking that out. Hoovered all of that out. Hoovered in there, taking out the insulation pads there. Not insulation pads, whatever they're called, can't remember. Hoovered all of this out. This was thick, a good ½ an inch thick of basically sulphur and stuff like that. But that's all done. Gonna get all this back together now. I've hoovered all the front of that. Clean the blast tube. I'm going to change the nozzle, which I've got there. I've got one in my pocket somewhere. Change the nozzle, put the blast tube back on, get all this back together, and hopefully get it set up quite quickly, I hope. I've hoovered in there as best I can as well. All done. Electrodes cleaned, set, new nozzle, clean the blast tube. Still got the air bubble in there. Yeah, and get that air bubble out now. Goes from there to there. Air bubbles slowly going. Yeah, we'll get that into the pump. Show the bubbles in there. No more bubbles now, yeah? Just a little bit, not much. There we go, all the bubbles are gone. So I'm going to let that run now. My new nozzle, I'll give it 10 minutes to warm up and burn off the soot. I'll do another smoke test and I'll adjust the air. If we're at the right pressure there. That's my first smoke test, yeah? That's my second smoke test. Worse when I increase the fuel pressure. And that is my last smoke test. So what, the dimple? I got there, okay? So the last smoke test was a 0. You barely see it. So it's now clean enough to put my analyzer in. I adjusted this back to factory settings of 9. Adjusted that to factory settings, changed the nozzle. It's now burning clean. Now it's clean enough to put an analyzer in, which is here, waiting. On oil. Let's go. Well, let's see what it does. You can watch. I want this to be about 11, 11.5 I think. I'll check it in the manual, but the manual's on my phone. So let me turn that off. It's terrible. 10.2, 10.3, yeah? Not bad, not bad. Just going to adjust the air down a little bit, let that stabilise, adjust the air down a little bit. I think it's 11, 11.5, I'll check that now. Okay, we're there. We are there, aren't we? Look at that. 11.5. Boom. Perfecto. So it's all back together. Obviously that is only a flue duct there. So all wall stars basically get their ventilation from that gap there. Yeah, so that's the, when you put the screws in, there is one missing from there, but when you put the screws in, it leaves a gap around the edge. That is your ventilation for that. That's your combustion air. So all done, tidy up and go. So you ever get a job where you feel like the world is against you? Well, that's this next job. It felt like everything I did or touched or whatever just went wrong, and basically we were there to fit a valve that had seized and broken in the off position. Okay, oh, well. So sheltered accommodation scheme. Oh, there it is. So basically, yeah, the binder had broken off completely flush with the valve, and it was late. So while the other engineer I was with, we'll call him Pirate Tom for now. That story may come to light one day, but we'll call him Pirate Tom. He went off to get a new valve while I stayed there to try and see what I could do. And that was either start stripping it all back out or see if I could repair the existing one. So yeah, and as you see here, this is what I decided to do. It's soft brass, remember, so I just took one of my bits out of my socket set, which I think was a something like an 8mm Allen key, and I just hammered that right into it. Just hammered that straight into the broken binder, and then as you see, ratcheted
I can probably get that
in
there.
Saved the day that I.
Okay, so this job here, this was for a new restaurant that was about to open. They'd just taken over from another restaurant, and they wanted me to come and have a look at the hot water because they weren't sure it was done right. So what I want you to notice is the 22 to 15 compression fitting. That is your cold water mains in, okay? So if you follow that now, and you see that the expansion vessel comes off there, there's no pressure reducing valve, and there's no isolation valve. Oh no, wait, there is an isolation valve. It's here on the bottom. The whole of the safety valves and the expansion vessel from that cylinder except the temperature and pressure relief. It's absolutely ridiculous. So there's no pressure reducing valve, the vessel's in the wrong place, it's all done with flexies. The base that it's stood on, the reason it's on flexies is because you can touch this cylinder, it rolls around like an egg, probably because the bottom's popped out of it, and the base it's on is made of ply that was rotten probably 15 years ago. So it was on an inappropriate base, installed incorrectly, and what you can't see is behind me in this little cupboard are two other cylinders that have both split because they've been installed this way, and they are lucky there wasn't an explosion. But this is how we turn it around and get that restaurant open. We only had two days to do this in, from viewing it late one night to actually the restaurant opening. So it was a bit of a nightmare, but I'd done the best I could. Okay, so hopefully you can hear me. This is an installed. I've got the photos of this beforehand. It's probably quite windy in here because I'm in a cupboard that's got aircon units and stuff in it, but here's the unvented cylinder I've fitted. I've fitted that concrete paving slab to mount it on because this floor's got a good 2 inches of fall. So obviously we want the cylinder upright. We are effectively almost outside. We're in a cupboard. So the PRV's just going onto the floor as if they're in a plant room. It's all lagged. I've now got to just wire this because this is on an economy 7 timer, which means you can only time it from midnight to 9 AM, but this is a working environment. It needs to be on all day and off at them times, and they want to be able to control both elements, and that's the switch I put in. There was no isolator here. This didn't work anyway, so I'm going to unwire this and wire in something far more suitable for the restaurant to use. This is how I left it. That's none of that's used. The power just comes in there from that switch straight out to both immersions. I've put cable ties on there so you can't pull that out to keep it safe. Obviously that's all wired correctly. I'm going to get on with this now and make it more suited for the customer's needs. Okay, so this is what I come up with. Got a relay box here, immersions obviously wired to that, and a standard heating programmer here. It's very glary, jeez. Standard heating programmer. So if I'm going to turn it off here, see that one went off, and now I'm going to turn off the other one, and that's turning the immersions on and off. That way you can use a normal heating programmer to control 3 kilowatt immersions. So, should be good. Alright, so that was just really to show you, you know, the different aspects of what I do. As you can see now, it's about to get busy. It's the 8th of Jan. It's finally starting to get properly cold at last. So I should have plenty of content to come. Catch you on the next one.